Welcome back to another exciting episode of No Frills Reviews. I'm going to start out by talking about the Viper. Now, the Viper is comparable to the Trigicon RMR. People have called it the poor man's Trigicon RMR. And I'm okay with that because you won't find any Trigicon optics in my house because I simply can't afford them. They are bomb-proof and excellent, and they cost a lot. It's also comparable to the Romeo, Sig Sauer Romeo Zero, which costs about a little more, I think a couple hundred more than the Viper does. Now the Viper runs for about 220 to 230, depending on where you get it from. It runs on a single 2032 button cell battery that is bottom loaded, meaning you have to remove the optic to change the battery. But that isn't the biggest deal in the world to me. Some people are like, I'll lose my Zero. I'm like, one, it's a pistol and I'm not that great of a shot. Two, you're putting it back on studs and then thread locking it back into place. Like, how much could it have really shifted, you know? There's not really a whole lot of place for it to go. And with it being a 2032 battery, you should get a long life out of it. The Viper is only offered in a 6 minute of angle, or MOA, or as I would say MOA, red dot. And according to the website, it has 120 MOA windage and elevation adjustments. Vortex's website. So, the Vortex Viper is intended for cutout slides and co-witnessing with suppressor height iron sights, which isn't really anything that is ever going to happen for me because I don't co-witness and I don't have iron sights. As you can see, I don't have a front sight post or a rear sight post. All I have is an optic. If the optic fails, it's point and shoot time. Luckily, I have a lot of faith in the optic, and unless there's some sort of accident and it gets broke, which is what happened to this guy, luckily with that sweet Vortex VIP warranty, they sent me a new one free of charge, and I was back up and running in about 2 weeks. So, nothing wrong with that. But anyway, moving on. Fuck iron sights. The only thing that I don't like about the Viper is it doesn't have an auto mode where it shuts itself off. It's either on or off, and then you can adjust the brightness. Now, the good news is if you keep it on a reasonable brightness, I shoot for 5 out of 10, just because that's the brightness you can have it at, have something up close, and still be able to find your red dot very quickly. People who have shot in the dark or use flashlights on their weapons a lot know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I should be able to get about 10, 15, 20,000 hours out of it with it on a medium brightness setting. It claims 30,000 on the lower settings and 150 on the highest. So we'll see. I'll let you know about it in the future. Alright, moving on to the Venom now. We have a few differences here. This one is a top-loaded 1632 button cell battery. As you can see, there's a battery door there. It's got an O-ring and fine threads and a little slot for the screwdriver they supply with it. Both of these optics come with all the tools you'll need to adjust them or install the batteries. And then if you have a weapon with a pre-cut out slide, or if you're like me and you use dovetail adapter type little base plates, those also come with a bunch of hardware, so you'll be able to get yourself suited up. The Venom is offered in 3 MOA or 6 MOA. I went with the 6 MOA because I love faster target acquisition. It offers 130 MOA elevation adjustment, and then 100 for windage. I forgot to mention the Venom is more styled more like the Burris Fastfire family or the Romeo one, 6 Hour Romeo one. Moving on. According to Vortex's website, is intended for, quote, rapid shooting transitions and target acquisition, and, end quote, to paraphrase, due to its wide field of view. Which, if you ask me, that's something I meant to talk about. They both are the same field of view, perceived to me. When I look at them, I'm like, yep, about an inch, you know. I don't really see any difference between the two, so whatever. But the one thing I really love about the Venom is its auto mode. So it has the same mode as, optional mode as the Viper, where it's just on or off and then you adjust the brightness. That I found with the little pussy 1632 battery would kill a battery in about 2 to 3 weeks if you were lucky. So with it on all the time. So I was like, that's not going to cut it. You know, we're in a day and age where we expect years out of red dot style optics that we leave on all the time. I mean, am I right? So I was like, no, that's not going to work. So I just use auto mode. Auto mode leaves it on for 14 hours, and it adjusts brightness based on external lighting conditions, which is really nice. So when you pull it out and flip your light on, it automatically brightens up your dot so you can see it really well. You turn your light off, and the dot goes back to being more dim to save battery. And so if you're using it without the light, you can still see it without being overwhelmed by the you know how when a red dot's too bright, it starts to turn into like a little star instead of a little dot. But anyway, so that's one nice feature they should have included on the Viper. I think that'd have been really nice. But so now we've talked about how they're different. Let's talk about how they're the same. They're both extremely low profile. Suffice it to say, I think you'll have no problem co-witnessing with either one of them, if that's your thing. Like I said, I could give a fart about irons or co-witnessing. I don't think you'll have a problem with it, either one. And they, like I said, they both have the same perceived viewing angle as far as I can determine. So just kind of, tell you what, if the auto mode sounds really cool to you and that's what you want to run, get the Venom. If you want something that looks more like an RMR and has a bigger battery, get the Viper. I'd almost say it's a draw between the two because the Viper's got the better battery life, I'm assuming, because it's got the bigger battery, even though it's on all the time. And then the even on auto mode, if you're running it every day, you're still going to be changing your battery every few months. This is claiming tens of thousands of hours in medium to low settings, so we'll see what we get. Like I said, I'll give you an update when I change the battery. But yeah, so like I said, you can't really go wrong with either one. Forgot to mention, the Viper costs the exact same as the Venom. The Venom costs the same as the Viper. They both run you between $220 and $230, depending on where you get them and what kind of bundle they're in. Do I think they're worth the money? Absolutely. Do I love them both? Yes. Am I glad I have one of each instead of two? We'll find out. It's really going to depend on the battery life for the Viper. If it's substantial and comparable to the RMR, where you can get away with just running a year on a battery or more, then yeah, I'm probably going to swap out this Venom for a Viper. But maybe not, because the top loading makes it so easy to change the battery that I don't really mind. It's like I said, I'm torn. You know, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please be sure to like and subscribe. And if you hated the video, say something really nasty about me and my family in the comments. And yeah, have a Truly.
Grab me a Truly.